This is a game that was played by two members of the chess club, and you'll see that the best opening for white was to move one of the center pawns up 2 squares, but white chose to move up 1. And the second move is bishop to c4, which usually means that the matrix is going to be happening soon, and that is what white does, but black blocks it. And you'll see we have quite a few blue arrow moves here. Now right here, white gets a red arrow because they're moving the same piece twice in the opening. A better move would have been knight to c3, which is developing one of the pieces off the back rank. And here, black gets a red arrow for moving the pawn up to b6. But if you look at the details, you'll see that there is a -2 score, so black could actually jump out ahead. And I want to show you what would happen if black would have moved the pawn and captured instead. Now, I try to think when I play through these games the way a scholastic player would play, and I would guess that white would probably want to capture that pawn back. So I am going to guess that white would move here. And if you look, black will move their bishop there, attacking the queen, and the queen will retreat. Now you'll see that the queen would go to E3 or D3, and I kind of have a feeling that a scholastic chess player probably would not do that, just because it would be a trade-off of queens, and a lot of chess players don't like to trade off their queens early in the game. So I am going to guess that white would probably move their queen to c3, attacking the bishop and hopefully getting it for free. But do you see what the mistake is in that thinking? If the black queen moves to d1, it's checkmate. So if we go back a couple of moves, and this would be a very hard sequence to follow, but if you can see where the checkmate would be with the bishop on g4 and the queen on d1, you can see by moving certain pieces how that lines up just perfectly to create a checkmate in the game. Instead, black moves the pawn up to b6, which gets a red arrow because it doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. It does protect the bishop because the bishop is an undefended piece, but it just wasn't a great move. And here we see a couple of black arrows. Now white makes a mistake right here. And this is kind of a biggie, and we'll go to the details here. And you can see black is slightly ahead. But what could black do that would really cause a problem for white? And you can see what the #1 answer is. It's taking that pawn, but why is that pawn such a great move for black? Well, if you capture the pawn, there's a royal family fork. The knight is attacking the queen, the rook, and the king at the same time. And it looks like, you know, the bishop could just take the knight, and it's an even trade. But what a lot of chess players don't see is look what's behind the knight. The bishop is attacking the queen. And this is called a double attack. When two pieces from one side attack 2 from the other. So if white captures the knight, then black gets a scalp. Instead, black captures the knight, and you'll see a lot of blue arrows here. And if you want to pause this video and check out some of these moves as to why they're good, you can. Now this move right here, yes, the bishop puts an attack on the queen, but if you look at where the suggested move is for black, if the knight moves to g4, it puts an attack on the queen. But it also has another threat that I like to call the fried liver. And if you look, if the knight goes here to g4, it attacks the pawn on f2. And if that knight were to go to f2, then black would get a rook for free. And so I'll show that to you. Knight moves there, and of course the queen isn't going to want to be captured, so we'll just say that the white queen will move right there. Well, the black knight will move there and can capture the black rook. White can block it, but now white gets the rook and is still ahead in the game. Instead, white puts the attack on the queen. The queen goes back. The reason why, well, I guess we got a blue arrow there, but it's an easy block for white. And so white moves back. This is a dangerous move for white right here, because when white moves, black can put a tempo on the queen, moving the queen out of the way, attacking the queen again, moving the queen out of the way, attacking the king. You can see lots of great attacks from black against white, and really not giving white any chance to develop pieces, so great moves there from black. And this move is dangerous for white because black can continue to attack. And here, black has a red arrow on the pawn going up 2. And the reason why that gets a red arrow, it does protect the knight from being captured. But if the queen moves down to to E1, like the suggested move is, black has a 1-move checkmate if white is not careful. And if there's any move that white makes besides moving that knight out, then it's going to be an automatic checkmate. So let's say that, well, even if the white does the best move and goes ahead and moves their knight to F3, the queen still gets a free rook. So in that position, white just had a lot of really great places that it could go, or a lot of great things that it could do by moving the queen to that square. And again, if white didn't see that, and let's say that white just got greedy and took the knight for free, then it would be a checkmate in 1. Oops! Yeah, checkmate in 1, and the game would be over right there. So a lot of really interesting tactics that black could have done if it would have thought ahead and thought of that checkmate. What master chess players do is they imagine a position that they would like to be in, and a position that you would like to be in to win the game would be to put the queen right here in this space. So what master players do is they get that idea of what the checkmate would be or the great move, and then they figure out how to get there. So if you as a chess player can start thinking in the future of what you want a position to look like, and then slowly figure out how to get there, your chess games are going to start turning out amazing. Instead, black moves the pawn to c6, and black's game kind of falls apart after this. And you can see that black has an undefended piece, and black didn't notice that. And what ended up happening here is that white moved up 1, black moved up 1, and that gave white a free piece. And if we look at the details now, the game has gone from being in black's favor by over 2 points to now being in white's favor by almost 4 points. And just watch some of the things that happen here. Black, I think, wants to do an X-ray attack by taking the bishop and then exposing the queen to an attack, I think. White ends up moving there. Again, black, for some reason, moves the pawn up to attack the queen, but white surprises them by checking the king. King has to move out of the way to a very dangerous place. Well, I guess it's not a dangerous place, but black gives up another piece for free. Black then moves the knight there, I'm assuming to prevent like another check, but you can see the score now for white is at positive 18. And I'm going to go through the next few moves kind of quickly. And again, if you want to pause these and look at the moves and find out why some moves were better than others, but you can see white's getting pretty close. I don't want to say close to checkmate, but close to really putting this game away. But unfortunately, white lets black get back into the game. Still, plus 17 is still a pretty good score, but now we're down to plus 13. There's another free piece there. Plus 12 isn't bad. Oh yeah, and here's another thing too. I always tell the chess players about undefended chess pieces. Right here, white has an undefended piece, and black could have taken that piece and knocked the score down to 8.9, which is far, but it's a lot better than 17 or 18, but black misses it. And here, white has a free piece on A7, but white doesn't see it. And not only does it a free piece, but it puts the king in check. But white doesn't see it. And you can see over and over again these free pieces that white and black are not paying attention to. And again, you know, the game, well, there, black finally saw the opening right there. But okay, and so here comes another piece. And the score is at -3. And now black's starting to pick up some free pieces. Now the score is at +5, +6, so the game's getting more and more even. Again, black right there had a free piece, but black, oh, I guess, let me see, is that a free piece or not? No, because the rook would be taken. Oh, I see. This is a great move, because if the rook takes the bishop, then the pawn takes the rook, but then the king can take the rook, because the bishop is guarding the rook. So let's say that the black rook took the bishop, pawn takes rook, well then black goes and takes that rook, and now you know, the game's getting pretty close. I believe we were somewhere around here in the position. So again, black could have had a free piece, and we'll go on the details now so you can kind of see how the score changes. Black is still, or white is still ahead by 6 points. But again, the way white was ahead by almost 18 points, white probably should have won this game quite some time ago. Now you see the score is underneath 4 points, so it's even closer now between black and white. And right there, black and white decided to stop notating the game and just finished on their end game. White did end up winning the game, but white could have won it much earlier than he did.